Yeah, it's a great question. One of the things that I say about what Charismatic Renewal did in our church was that, and I think a lot of churches like Truro that welcomed it, not all churches did welcome it, but binitarian Christians became fully Trinitarian. I mean, they had no problem with Father and Son, but the Holy Spirit was, whoa, what do we do with that? So what Charismatic Renewal did was it made us fully Trinitarian, and we became open to the person and work of the Holy Spirit. And then we took on a posture of learning how does the Spirit work and communicate. And if you were in chapel, I read a word of knowledge that somebody sent me about I was going to receive this extraordinary message, and it was going to be life-altering, and it's a new season for your family, a new season for your church. And of course, I get a text message 2 days later from the Archbishop of Canterbury. Now, I am open to that sort of thing, and I knew this particular woman, and I trust her prayer life. So I thought she heard something, but I didn't know what. 2 days later, I found out what she knew, And so we encourage, in our congregation, we encourage people, if they have something that comes into their mind, to be open to the possibility that's a message from God, And we encourage people to share that with one another. We also encourage for people to practice discernment about those messages. And so I think what we would have is a congregation that is open and hospitable to God still speaking. The normative voice and message of God is in the Scriptures, and we want everything to measure up to that. But we like I say, we worship the great I am, not the great I was. God is still communicating. He's still speaking. He's still leading. He's still guiding. And we pretty much believe, like the prophecy of Joel, all flesh will experience this, women, children. So I think it's just a culture, Andrew, of both openness and how you treat it when it does come. We try to do things orderly, but we give room for people to encounter the Lord in very personal ways. Also, after the Eucharistic prayer, after we say thanks, often one of the priests will pause and be still for people to continue praying in the Spirit, praising. Sometimes a word of knowledge will occur in the congregation. And when that happens, it's kind of normal. People aren't shocked by it. But there is an expectation that happens every single time. There's a maturity about it, I think. Yeah, I don't know about demographics. I mean, I look at our congregation, and it increasingly looks like our county, which is very multicultural. I mean, we're historically kind of a very old Anglican or Anglo congregation. I mean, the roots of our parish go back into the 1600s. So it's got a lot of history, and the kind of congregation we have historically have been key influencers in the community. But increasingly, that's not the case. Increasingly, we have a homeless congregation that worships with us on Sunday afternoons of about 200 people. That the welcoming of that congregation made Truro uncomfortable for some folks after that. But for other people, it made it more comfortable. And so what I say is that we attract who we are, not who we want. And that we're increasingly a Trinitarian congregation that's on mission. One of our little mottos is roots down, walls down. We're very hospitable. We welcome, like the homeless congregation, we'll welcome other ministries that historically would not necessarily be associated with an Episcopal or Anglican church in that area. And we partner with the local Coptic church nearby. We partner with the Baptist church nearby. We partner with Pentecostals. We just have a very wide ecumenical network. And we've also befriended the local Muslims. Well, I think historically our origins was to renew the wider Western church, and that didn't entirely happen. But I think that that longing and hope is still deep within the DNA of Anglicanism. I think we are at our best and truest when we realize we're not an end in ourselves, that we exist for the renewal of the Western Church, not just Roman Catholic, but the Catholic Church in its entirety. So we're not an end in ourselves. We're a bridge church. I mean, it's a church where I would say a third of the congregation are former Episcopalians or they're lifelong Episcopalians, a third are Protestant evangelicals, and a third are Roman Catholic. And it's a place where a lot of different Christians feel like they have a home. So I think that's one of its gifts. I think, we're great for couples who one comes from a, low church Protestant background, one comes from a either charismatic or a Catholic background. There's something for everybody at Truro. So that's our gift, I think, to the wider church. As a local congregation, I think it's our gift to the wider church as a communion. We're a church that believes that all Christians need one another. All Christians, what they share in common is more important than what they disagree with. That our basic commitment to apostolic faith, as enshrined in the Creed, is what holds us all together. Most Christians still believe the Creed, and we say that is not unimportant. That if we're worshiping the resurrected Jesus and that creed articulates our faith, then that is a brother, that is a sister. No matter else what we might disagree about, we have issues with, and we'll arm wrestle those issues, we'll talk about them, but there's a deeper thing, and that deeper thing is this person, whatever mistakes they may be making and however much we disagree with them, if they're worshiping Jesus and they're seeking to follow him, we're going to give them the benefit of the doubt and work with them to the degree that we can. That, I think, is also a part of our DNA. I think in a divided world, in a divided country with lots of divided families, it's great to have something that holds up the value of unity, the value of reconciliation, the value of peace. And we're not Pollyannish about it. We know that it came at the cost of a cross, and it still does.